Did you know that about half of all marriages in the United States end in divorce?
I think we should get a divorce.
But if you compare same-sex couples with heterosexual ones, the statistics will shock you to the core.
I even felt a bit violated.
It turns out that homosexuals get divorced as much as twice less often than what we call traditional couples. That's right. Even considering the growing rate of same-sex marriages, the stats remain pretty much the same. Does this mean that LGBT couples are way stronger? And why?
You can handle the truth.
Let's see it on the example of Elton John and David Furnish, one of the longest-lasting LGBT couples. Just think about it. They've been together for almost 3 decades. But they only managed to have a civil partnership in 2005. 7 years ago, immediately after same-sex marriage was legalized in the UK, Elton and David got married to set an example for others who wanted to do it. Although they'd been happy together all this time, life wasn't easy for either of them.
I've been through hell through the 50s and 60s and even before then.
Society rejected Elton for being gay. And can you imagine? The singer didn't even think that he'd ever find love. If you think that gays are having a hard time now, you should know that as little as a few decades ago, homosexuality was illegal in many parts of the world. So Elton and David took a huge risk when they openly started their relationship back in the 90s. But they knew that it was worth it.
Our romance was instant but slow. He's my soulmate. He's the person that I speak to first thing in the morning and last thing at night.
Elton and David's love isn't only rooted in mutual attraction. The couple faced even more unexpected struggles when they decided to adopt an HIV-positive baby from Ukraine. They were rejected because they were gays and also because Ukraine didn't recognize civil partnerships. The rejection broke their hearts. And what's more important, it left a little boy without a family. Fortunately, Elton decided to at least keep on supporting him financially. Trying to get over the blow, he and David soon found a woman who was happy to become a surrogate mother for their children. These days, John is over the moon about parenting their 2 sons. "I'd rather be with my children than playing shows," the singer once admitted.
It's been 100,000% plus, in terms of delight.
And here's one more thing Elton and David do to keep the spark alive in the relationship.
Every Saturday, without fail, in the last 25 years, we've sent each other a card or a fax.
So now, after 27 years, Elton says that their love has grown even stronger.
I'm totally the happiest I've ever been.
Another famous gay couple, Neil Patrick Harris and David Burtka, are also going strong. And yet, they once admitted to going to couples therapy.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
We'll get back to that later, but now let's talk about their love story. Neil and David never thought that they'd meet their soulmates. Can you believe that Harris was even sure that he'd end up being alone his whole life? Luckily, he was wrong. The actors found each other on a New York City street corner in 2004 and soon began dating. The legendary heartthrob Barney Stinson was the first to fall in love and say it. And then, suddenly, he came down to earth. I remember saying, "I think I love you," and he was like, "That's really nice," which is not necessarily what you want to hear, the actor recalls. Fortunately, it didn't take David a long time to realize that he loved Neil back. Only 2 years later, Burtka was the one to propose at the same street corner where they met for the first time. And when the marriage equality bill was passed in New York in 2011, Neil and David were excited to finally announce their engagement. And 3 years later, the lovebirds got married. But although it all looks perfect, Neil and David still attend couples therapy. Not that there's anything wrong, but it's nice to sort of just talk to someone who is a mediator. That's helped our relationship, Harris revealed. So don't worry about them. It looks like Neil and David were made for each other, and they use therapy as a preventative measure. So what's their secret to a strong marriage? Well, it's the little things.
Each other a cup of coffee. It's the little gestures, I think, that make up for the bigger stuff.
They also have date nights whenever they can and spend as much time together as possible, even if it means watching Netflix together when the kids are asleep.
That, we feel, is a connection.
Yep, it's all about the little stuff. Ricky Martin and Juan Joseph can confirm that too. Although they have not been together for that long, Ricky and Juan's relationship has already become pretty important for the LGBT community. For a large part, it's because of how Martin dealt with his sexuality. The rumors about Ricky being gay started way before he actually came out. In one of his interviews, he was even pressurized to speak up about his homosexuality.
However, for some reason, I just don't feel like it.
It was so hard for the singer that after this interview, he even had PTSD.
I felt a bit trapped. I felt
I even felt a bit violated.
But years later, Ricky finally found the courage to talk about it, for the sake of his fans who struggled with the same issue. These years in silence and reflection made me stronger and reminded me that acceptance has to come from within, he commented. Ricky met his soulmate, painter and artist Juan Yosef, almost 5 years ago. The singer saw his artwork on Instagram and was so impressed that he decided to message him right away. That's how it all began.
No idea what he looked like, and then I saw what he looked like, and I'm like...
After communicating over Instagram for 6 whole months,
We talked about art, nothing sexy.
they started dating. And pretty soon, Martin popped the question.
And instead of saying, would you marry me, I said, I got you something.
They raised 4 kids together. Ricky's twins that the singer had from a surrogate years before, as well as 2 more adopted children. Believe it or not, but after the birth of their baby daughter, the husbands had marital problems. It turned out that Ricky felt a bit too protective of her and wouldn't even let Juan change her. Luckily, the shaky period didn't last long, and soon Martin started trusting his husband more. And these days, with every photo Ricky and Juan post on their social media, it's clear that their love is only growing stronger.
We talk about our dreams, and we make them happen.
Jim Parsons can relate to that too. The Big Bang Theory star struggled for years to come out because he feared that it would affect the show. But most of his fans guessed that he was gay before he announced it. What surprised them more was Jim's revelation that he'd been in a secret relationship for the past 10 years. Amazing, right? Jim and Todd met back in 2002 on a blind date. As Spewak revealed, the connection between them was immediate. As we know now, they kept their relationship private for quite a while, so it must have been a huge relief for them to finally tell the world. And later, Jim and Todd even received the Inspiration Award from the LGBT youth advocacy organization GLSEN.
I have never considered my relationship with Todd to be an act of activism. Rather, it is simply an act of love. Coffee in the morning, going to work, washing the clothes, taking the dogs, but regular life, boring love.
The engagement rumors ensued, and Jim had to debunk them once in a while. Until one day, when they finally decided to tie the knot. The ceremony took place in May 2017 in New York. And, according to Mayim Bialik, it was one of the sweetest weddings ever.
It was beautiful and literally the best chuppah I've ever seen in my life.
So why did they wait for almost 15 years to say their I do's, you might be wondering? Did they have some issues? Well, apparently they didn't.
Just didn't care about the act of it that much, to be honest with you.
But then they changed their minds.
Let's have a party then for the celebration of, and we'll go ahead and legalize this thing. And
They were happy to get married, and as Jim said, he had more fun at their wedding than he had expected to. Having spent 19 years together, the husbands are still head over heels with each other. What's their secret? Well, they just spend as much time together as possible. And they change each other for the better, as Parsons once shared in an anniversary Instagram post. Isn't all that what love looks like?
this is so close to God. I don't know what other word to use for it. Love.
What can we understand from all of these examples? They show that if 2 people love each other, they'll stick together no matter what. And gay couples have gone through so much together, from struggles to come out to social disdain, that it made their connection become unbreakable. Besides, they're also always willing to work on the relationship. So it looks like heterosexuals really can learn quite a few things from LGBT people. And it also fills us with the hope that one day everyone will learn to accept people of all sexualities. Let's make it happen.
We need to show support and compassion.
Share this video if you agree that love has no limits.